Hello and welcome to Music Theory Fluency, where today we'll be covering the half-diminished 7 chord. What does it mean to become fluent? It means we're not just going to learn a really quick trick for this and be done immediately, because the faster we learn something, the faster we forget it as well. Instead, we're going to learn this in a few different ways today to really engrave it in and understand it. Because when we understand something, we don't forget the things we understand. We'll make sure to go over how to build the half-diminished 7 chord and what those words mean, and some practical applications for where we'd use it in our music. Let's get started. To start, let's go over what it means to be a half-diminished chord. What this means is the triad it's built from is the diminished triad. We'll start with our C diminished. As a review, we can find our C minor, flat 5, to find our C diminished. If you don't know much about diminished chords, check above, as there's a video going over diminished chords in much more detail. Now for our half-diminished 7th chords, we add a minor 7th to them. I have my perfect octave, major 7th, and my minor 7th. I have my C diminished, my minor 7th, and by mixing diminished chord and minor 7th, only half of the information is diminished, which is why we call it half diminished. And then when we notate our C half diminished, will be with the letter C, a radial symbol that means diminished, then we put a line through it, cutting it in half to showcase the half diminished, and then we put our extension 7 at the end of it. We'll do this as well in our A diminished, building up first our A minor, A diminished, now finding our minor 7th, perfect octave, major 7th, minor 7th, A diminished, minor 7th, A half diminished 7. Let's now talk about where we use the half-diminished chord, especially in classical music. This is a chord that mostly appears in minor pieces. We'll start off with our A minor scale, but we use the harmonic minor version of the scale. Everything natural except the G sharp. This half-diminished 7 chord would appear from the second scale degree, our supertonic, in this case our B. We have the B, D, F, A, and since none of those are a G, they would all be natural. And we get the color of this half-diminished chord with some tension, but not as much as something like a dominant chord where it has a strong resolution to a certain place. Now we take a very common chord progression, our 2, 5, 1, starting off with our 2 from our B, D, F, A. None of those are a G, so everything is natural. We have a B diminished triad, and from B to A, the minor 7th, and this is our B half diminished 7. Our 5, E, G, B, D, E, G sharp, B, D. Major triad, minor 7th, dominant 7 chord, and we go back to our 1. And we will be keeping this as just a 1 chord because in most of our classical literature and even the majority of our romantic and contemporary literature, if they're not going for a necessarily jazzy or impressionistic color, resolving to a triad 1 chord is the most common thing we deal with. So my 2 half diminished 7, 5, 7, and 1. Let's now take this in our G harmonic minor as well. Harmonic minor scales do sometimes have a mixture of sharps and flats. We have our B flat and E flat from the key signature, and we also include the F sharp as it is the leading tone to our G. My 2, the A chord, A, C, E, G, A, C, E flat, G. Once again, we have an A diminished, a minor 7th, a half-diminished 7. We've got our D, F, A, C, D, F sharp, A, C. And now our G minor. 2 half-diminished 7, 5, 7, 1. When we read lead sheet for our jazz and pop music, we actually won't see these chords be called half-diminished very often. Instead, we will see these titled as minor 7 chords with a flat 5, showcasing that shortcut of diminished is a minor flat 5. For a lot of musicians, that's all they really know about this sound of this chord is they wouldn't think about this as a diminished chord. They're just thinking about this as an altered tone, having a flat 5 on a minor chord, but not really being any different. In a jazz context, we most commonly will have a 2, 5, 1 as the most common chord progression. We can use this to build out our understanding of how to integrate half-diminished chords into our vocabulary. We'll start off first with a minor 7. And this starts as our home bass chord. Now we're going to be moving to the key of G minor, a whole step below. This A has now become the 2, 5, 1. So we go from a minor to an A minor flat 5, D7, G minor 7. Now we're going to move the key going into the key of F minor, a whole step below the G, now becoming our 2, 5, 1. From G minor 7 to G minor 7 flat 5. And now this becomes the 2 of E flat. 2, 5, 1. This becomes the 2 of our D flat. 2, 5, 1. This becomes our 2. If we now rename this to a C sharp chord, this becomes the 2 of our B. Our 2, 5, 1. And now finally, we are making this the 2 of our A. 2, 5, 1. And we're back to our A minor, going around in a full circle down the octave. Do this in all 12 keys, and you'll have a much better understanding and control over the harmonic functions playing in minor. I hope you feel like you now better understand not only how to build the half-diminished 7th chord, but you now also have a better ear for it and understand why we would use this chord as not just a random chord with different notes, but a very functional chord that has its place in music, primarily in minor pieces. I'll include a PDF exercise sheet of what we went over today. That way you can not only play what we did today, but also transpose these exercises into all 12 keys. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I am more than happy to make content that answers your questions. And if you want to continue learning more about music theory, like and subscribe for more music content. Happy practicing.